I think you're muted.
Oh, right. That's how every webinar starts. Well, I hope not, but in our case, it started this way. Hello, everyone. I'm Eve Loganova Parker, founder and CEO of Evenness, and I am super excited, very thrilled to welcome you today to our first AMA Ask Me Anything session of the year, where we are to be exploring and diving deeper into the topic of how to build technology that is accessible, inclusive, and sustainable by design. Well, with everything that Evenness has been focusing on throughout the past years, it started making sense because the world adjusted to the need of more inclusive, digitally equipped, and equitable solutions. So we would like to take the moment to invite you to the discussion today, which will last less than an hour, and dive deeper into the best practices, innovative approaches, and practical strategies for both Web 2 and Web 3 domains, where you can also use the opportunity to ask your questions and highlight the challenges that you're experiencing, and basically have a chance of a free consulting session with us, myself, and my co speaker today, who I would like to introduce. So please welcome Bhuva Shakti. Bhuva Shakti is an esteemed tech savvy industry professional who is an ESG champion. Environmental, social, and governance domain is her home. She has been doing miracles by creating impact at the same time achieving profitability for big companies. With her tenure of almost 25 years on Wall Street and in the tech industry, having MBA from Columbia University and being a dual graduate from computer science and tech schools, she has joined Evenness as co-founder, director, and fractional chief product and sustainability officer on March 1st. We recently announced Bhuva, and we are still celebrating it. It's the best present for International Women's Day and the March month. And so we thought that together with Bhuva, we'll dive into the importance of this topic, helping you to understand how to build your solutions that are not only nice to look at, but very user friendly to use your online platforms and web apps or gamified experiences, as well as they're built sustainably. So please welcome Bhuva, and we're about to kick off the call.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining us today. And it's a real pleasure to be joining Evenness at such an important time, though I have been part of the team for a very long time. But today we're going to talk about technology, but also bringing accessibility and sustainability together, which is our mission.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Bo, for being committed to this mission and for already, well, pivoting Evenness or leading Evenness to the full success in achieving our mission. So Bhuva, with maybe a few words about your experience. You've been doing much more than just corporate career or one project on one initiative. Could you please share with us a few words from your experience and your observations on the industry itself? Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Eve. And then thanks for giving a quick intro about me earlier. In addition to my 26-year long career on Wall Street, so I've done a lot of things in parallel because I have commitment to reducing inequalities, not only on Wall Street, but everywhere. And my goal is to promote economic freedom. It doesn't mean it's related to a financial industry, but rather for everyday people. So to achieve these goals, I provide guidance as an advisor, a consultant, or as an early stage investor to startups. I predominantly focus on social innovation startups. I help with financial fundraising, operational streamlining, excellence in compliance, and so on. Like you mentioned earlier, I have a dual degree in computer science and software engineering, but I went back to Columbia University to get an MBA because my focus was to more expand the Wall Street knowledge to Main Street, how I can bring in more entrepreneurship, how I can leverage my knowledge and experience from building multinational teams to startups. We've done a lot of technology transformation initiatives in the investment banking, capital markets, risk and regulatory compliance sectors, but how can that knowledge and experience be applied to startups that are starting to scale but are in the social innovation space? Additionally, I also work with World Business Angels Investment Forum. It's a G20 collaboration for startup advising and impact investing. We do a lot of technology and innovation initiatives free of cost globally, and predominantly also focused on financial inclusion, because not only in advanced economies but in emerging economies also we need this initiative. And with my official role as the co-founder, director, and the fractional chief product and sustainability officer now at Evenness, my goal is to drive a very comprehensive sustainability and inclusion strategy. So we are a tech company, but accessibility and sustainability and inclusion should be built into both the company operations as well as in each stage of the product lifecycle. So that's my primary vision. But we also need to ensure compliance. A simple framework we could leverage is ESG, the environmental, social, and governance framework, which standardizes our sustainable goals with data-driven approach, not qualitative only, right? So that would expand our business reach to a lot of communities. And I think I would potentially start with the product design, where we want to minimize our environmental impact, not only for our customers, but for us as a company as well. So how can we improve our own operational efficiency? So throughout our entire product lifecycle, we want to identify any hotspots that are not inclusive, not accessible. And our goal is to prioritize innovation and rethink the overall product design from a sustainable lens. And I mentioned about the ESG framework earlier, but within that, we are not going to do everything overnight, but we want to at least start with setting up ethical and responsible governance frameworks. We want to set up KPIs that we are able to report transparently to our stakeholders, customers, partners, as well as to our investors. So we would be monitoring and reporting our company performance based on our environmental responsibility. And within this scope of work for 2024, my mission is to ensure respectful relationships with all our community members. How can we foster inclusive culture? Because ESG is not about environment only or governance only. There are a lot of social aspects that collectively determine our well-being and our customers' well-being. And how do we mitigate risk? It's going to be a very high priority for me, at least to start with within the product and the sustainability areas of work.
Uh, well, I'm personally very excited about that. It warms my heart knowing that we are going sustainably, with accessibility in mind, and also GDPR compliance is there, and understanding of all the laws and regulations, which I find absolutely important for today's world, knowing that the litigation cases are growing in numbers, and it's about 300% increase for the United States market. As also in Europe, for example, next year going to be a big year. 2025 is when the European Accessibility Act is taking action, and this is as severe or as strict as GDPR, knowing if you are not following that compliance guidelines, you are not to not only achieve your goals, but you'll cease to exist and you'll be fined, severely fined. We'll be sharing at the end of this webinar a white paper that we have produced recently that covers everything you need to know about the state of accessible design and sustainable design in 2024, as well as compliance. So there you'll find some answers and guidelines how to make sure that your platforms and online presence is adherent to compliance. So if we dive deeper into the topic of web accessibility, Bobo, with everything being said and presented by you, I would like to ask you, How do you envision the accessible and sustainable design of web interfaces and tech solutions? Because I find them very crucial for today's world to be accessible and sustainable. And Evenness is on that mission. So, what are your thoughts in this regard? Why is it important?
Yeah, no, definitely. So, like I said earlier, we are a technical product company, but then our technical product is not going to be of help to our customers if we don't build it with accessibility and sustainability in mind. So, in my point of view, I think you would also agree that it's an essential metric within the context of ESG because we have to ensure inclusion. We have to ensure our product is available to a wide range of users, devices, environments, right? So many people may think accessibility is something that's associated with the yes or the social dimension of ESG, but that alone is not sufficient because if we don't ensure environmental sustainability in our design, then we cannot enhance accessibility across devices, right? We cannot accommodate user friendliness for people with different abilities. So some people may need easy to read displays, right? So some people may need lightweight materials due to other weight restrictions or whatever that may have in their health profile. If we don't accommodate for lightweight reusable materials within our business as well as in our products, it's not going to be inclusive, accessible, or sustainable. So it may look like a technical product, but then all these are inbuilt into the design throughout the entire life cycle of what we do at Evenness. And more importantly, it's not about building products and getting customers, stakeholders, partners, investors, but it's also very important for our mission to engage communities, right? So constantly in parallel, we are talking to communities, we are understanding their needs, and we are requesting them to evaluate our products so that we ensure that diverse user requirements are met, not just testing with one set of users and it works and we are happy, right? So our commitment is to social inclusion and equity. And I think any business that incorporates accessibility into their corporate strategy or governance will be able to progress on the accessibility goals. It's a very simple step you can take even tomorrow. Let's say put in a couple of defined policies, put in an oversight committee or at least one or two people in your C-suite team to do regular reporting on how you progress, and it's easy to get started than trying to wait a few years to determine a whole strategy. And at Evenness, we prioritize sustainability, accessibility, and inclusion because we believe that also will build a better brand loyalty for us among our customers, partners, investors. And in turn, our goal is to provide all our users with equitable access to technology.
Mm,
And oh,
right. Go for it. Go for it.
yeah, I just wanted to note one metric. It doesn't matter that it's only we talking. It's a very important metric that 1.3 billion people in the world today have a need to have accessible, inclusive systems, right? That's roughly one out of six people who are unable to navigate through digital content or experiences more comfortably because they have different set of physical or mental health profiles, and today, many platforms in the world, the internet solutions, are not able to accommodate them. Many are not compliant with accessibility standards like ADA, WCAG, or COPPA, right? So it's not only about being accessible, but it also impacts the global spending power of people, right? So if someone wants a solution and your solution is not able to accommodate them, they're going to look elsewhere. So you're going to lose your customer and in turn trillions of dollars in new business in this market. So they are limited with spending money on your product because your product is limiting usage for them in return. So that's how I see it. So doesn't matter it's a startup or a large enterprise, building digital solutions fitting various health profiles to ensure digital accessibility and social inclusion is really important, not only for people well-being, but also economically, it's a good business.
It's absolutely fantastic business. If people would look at the business growth from the kind of it's like a coin, right, from both sides of business profitability and growth, and the other side is impact and society matters and improving the lives of many. So that would be I think the vision of the future. At least that's the vision that we have for Evenness, and we've been what? So we were founded in the Netherlands in 2020. Then we scaled to the United States in 2022. Got incorporated on International Women's Day, March 8th, in the States, and after a very thorough research on, especially after the pandemic, we studied how do people want to live their lives, how do they learn, how do they want to earn their money, how do they want to have their freedoms, what do they find to be human rights at this moment, and how internet and technology can make their lives better. And I would like to add here actually how we started and formed into who we are today, our team and our mission, and our focus on product development. The story started with Travis, and Travis is our hero, a boy of 10 years old who's been diagnosed with autism and dyslexia when he was a young kid. And he doesn't look different, right? He is loved by everyone. He, from outside, he is same boy that you probably like would imagine a health kid to be. But inside, he thinks he's a fish, and that makes it challenging for him to study at school because schools cannot be changed and converted into oceans that easily. So he finds it to be very hard to follow the content, thinking that it's hard. There's no water around me. And it's also hard for him to use online tools because, they usually lack some accessibility features. What you said, 3% of websites only kind of matching, they match accessibility standards. That means it's, 97% he cannot use because there's no dyslexia font, or there's maybe for others color palettes that can be changed to match color blindness, or support for people who have low vision, low hearing, or deaf and blind. So that understanding that there's so many of us, 1 in 6 people have somewhat form of I call it superpowers. We don't use on our team word disability, but people are different. And why do we try to build websites and web apps that are just like the easy way forward, healthy will understand, but then you are lacking those who cannot use your technology, and there's 1.3 billion of those. So once you build technology, it needs to be perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust according to the compliance standards and how you build the designs. Now, Buva, I can speak about accessibility a long time because there are so many things that can be done not only for Web 2 world, but Web 3. If you're immersed in the experience, you want to have the proper gamified experience. If you can hear, maybe there's some visual guidance, especially in VR headsets. If you can't see, then there is probably audio assistance that guides you through. This is not developed properly yet, and it's hard to do it fast. The Web3 domain is still building, and we are trying to support those industries and working with different metaverse providers, gaming companies to look at their developments, at their solutions, and say, like, audit them and say what could be improved in order to tailor the experiences to various health profiles. But speaking of sustainability, because it plays a very important role in achieving accessibility. So could you please share a few examples of the role of sustainability, but also maybe practical examples of good companies who drive that agenda forward? Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, one thing I repeatedly say all the time is you don't have to be a climate scientist or a climate company to ensure you follow sustainable goals, right? So, it could be any company, and you don't have to compromise profit for impact. So there are a lot of large corporations in the US and across the world that have impact as the primary core value and mission, but are generating literally millions of dollars in profits. One well-known example is Patagonia, right? I'm sure everyone knows Patagonia by this time, not for their gear, which of course is very durable and they produce outdoor clothing, but they are known to be a for-profit large corporation with environmental sustainability and ethical practices as two core mission and values, right? That's it. Not to produce the best outdoor clothing or best gear, but ensuring these are built into their corporate philosophy, into their product design, into their supply chain management is their corporate mission. And I'll give you two examples, and they do quite a lot. We won't have time to fit everything. One thing they focus on is responsible sourcing, right? So, because they produce physical materials, they want to ensure they source materials with reduced environmental impact. What does it mean? Can they use recycled polyester? Can they responsibly source organic cotton? Or they were one of the first to adopt fleece, making fleece based products from recycled plastic bottles. So it's a win win, right? So you're reducing landfill, but also producing something that the humans need on a daily basis. Another great program they have is Wear program, right? Meaning any company will think that the more you buy products from them, the better for their business. But Patagonia has taken a slightly different approach. So you buy from us, wear it as many times as you want, extend the life of their product. You can bring it to their dedicated stores to repair them, recycle them, or even donate to someone else, or even share it with someone else, exchange with something else, so that you are able to keep Patagonia products longer in use, if not with you, with someone else. It's not about buying a second product, but what are you doing with your old product that doesn't go into the landfill, right? So this is a circular economy approach that is very much promoted by Patagonia. And another example is Unilever, right? So Unilever is a very large multinational consumer goods company. I think it's headquartered in UK, and it has an extensive portfolio. So it has a lot of day-to-day products that we use in our daily lives, like detergents, soaps, and so on and so forth, right? But their primary mission is sustainability in all the business models that they have. They've kind of separated out their sustainability goal from profit, in the sense how much sustainability that they focus on should not impact how much profit they make. They should be independent because they want to have a dedicated focus on sustainability in product development, in corporate strategy, and everything, right? So, two major examples from Unilever is one, I think back in 2010, like 15 years or so, they created something called a sustainable living plan, right? So it is not related to detergent or a soap, but they wanted to decouple their environmental footprint from their growth, from creating positive social impact to people who are using their products. So they have created a lot of goals that will improve health and well-being for at least a billion people in the near term, right? So it's not about selling more of their own consumer products, but rather about enhancing livelihoods of people that they sell it to also. Additionally, in the products space, right? So they also produce a lot of products. They distribute across the world. So it's a very large conglomerate. So they ensure their products across the life cycle use less water, or use less energy, or use energy efficiently. They focus a lot on decreasing waste in their production process, right? Not accumulating landfill, not increasing carbon emissions or greenhouse emissions. They're also developing products that we consumers can use by applying the same principles, right? So you would have heard that they have released products that require less water, concentrated liquid detergents. They also brought together products that don't need lot of energy, so you are able to save energy as a personal consumer as well. So what they do, they are able to pass on to their consumers as well. So it doesn't matter if you are a large corporation or a small corporation or a startup, you can still do small things that change lives of people.
Wow. And remembering the rating of ESG driven businesses, and there's like a large number of those, 7,000 up to 12,000, depending on which level of ESG compliance they're meeting. It means that it's not only a few examples you shared with us today, it's a movement in a way where companies are trying to improve their operations, improve their supply chains, their ways of working with, well, internally with their employees as well as much as externally with all their stakeholders. And it's the S in ESG, and then E for environmental impact, reducing carbon emissions, energy consumption. So that is indeed a movement, and I'm very proud that we joined. Being small as we are as a startup, but I think you should start from the beginning of your journey, not just trying to fit that ESG compliance somewhere in the process, because it's harder, more expensive, more time consuming to convert your process, fix your legacy systems, and improve the overall impact. While we are discussing on the webinar, I would like to invite everyone to share their questions in the chat feed. We will see them and address them, or you can also grab the mic by just saying like, I would like to ask the question, and we will provide you with the link so you can appear with us on the screen. So feel free to ask questions. And actually, I see already one on our channel from Kartika from India. It's at Hyderabad. If I'm pronouncing correctly, I'm not sure. But she, let me read it out. She is asking, so I am starting a business. It's a small startup idea, which is pre-seed, pre-revenue. And we are trying to build a supply chain for the space industry to make it more energy efficient. What would be your recommendation for players in the space tech? How, especially small startups, how should they start building for the companies like SpaceX and others? Well, I think it's a question to you from the sustainability perspective.
Yeah, no, definitely. And congrats on launching your own business and also making change in the space tech industry, right? So, um, two critical things. One is I am assuming, and I didn't go a lot into your product or service that you offer, you potentially may be building some kind of a physical product. I'm not sure if that is the case. The first thing that you should ensure is your entire supply chain, either direct or indirect, is able to certify that they use fair trade practices in terms of their staff, the products that they use, the waste that they generate, and responsible energy that they use using smart control systems. If you have a supply chain that is based in one country, this could be easier. But if your supply chain is based in different countries, then it's extremely important to ensure local laws and regulatory compliance. For example, if you're in one country, there could be certain carbon emission requirements, while if you're using a supply chain person or a company from another country, then the carbon requirements are slightly different. So you have to determine, are you going to have them use yours globally, or are you going to adjust to individual region, right? So that's the second thing. And the third most important thing is, if you are in the sustainable space, I think in the US we just had the Inflation Reduction Act, right? So that launched couple of years back. Two things it does, right? So one is it gives a lot of tax incentives if you are able to show progress in terms of data, metrics, and quantitative transparent reporting. that you don't have to pay taxes on certain things because you're having an impact on the environment, good impact on your employees and your customers. On the other hand, if you are going to create a product that is sustainable, it also provides equity and debt free grants that can help you build the product, launch it without external investors taking up equity or you accumulating debt. I'm not sure if such a concept is available in your country. Maybe it's good to talk to your local officials and government to see if you can get some tax incentives or even some grants to launch your product without accumulating debt or giving up equity. I think those are key recommendations from my end.
Thank you both for answering this question. Kartika, if you require more information or you would like to kind of have a deeper discussion, please do reach out to us, especially Buva. You can connect on LinkedIn. And let's see, it sounds like you are building a really cool thing. And good luck. Good luck with that.
Good luck.
Yeah, we wish you all the best. Now, there is another question, Buva, and I believe it's also to you. We can address, there's plenty of information online, and there's Michael, I hope I pronounced correctly your name, Michael, or Michael, if in English, from Belgium, who is asking, we are scaling to the United States, and there is an option to incorporate as a C Corp or B Corp. We would like to make it as green as possible, it's written, so environmentally friendly as possible and register as such. But that B Corp sounds hard to do. Could you please guide a little bit into that, answering that question, Buva? Would you recommend going B Corp, or is it very hard to achieve for a startup?
Yeah. So again, B Corp is not a legal setup, it's a certification. The legal setup is called PBC, also known as a Public Benefit Corporation. The example I gave, Patagonia. Patagonia is a world renowned PBC. It is not difficult to do PBC. Registering a PBC is as easy as registering a C Corp, which is another type of business entity in the US. There are S Corps and others, but those are for small businesses that do not require investor funds. But if you are looking to expand market and looking to get investor funds or government grants, tax incentives, you could go for a C Corp or a PBC. But having a PBC is not difficult. It's easy to get investments from impact investors. So doing a PBC and going and trying to get funding from a non-impact investor is not going to happen. On the other hand, if you are determined that you have to follow the sustainable path, it's easy to register a PBC. PBC gives you flexibility to report profit plus impact on your balance sheet. So both are accounted for. And then on top of it, you can get a B Corp certification. So a B Corp certification can be given only if you are a PBC registered in a particular jurisdiction. So getting a B Corp certification enhances your profile in the sense that you get additional incentives from investors and local authorities, as well as you can talk to your customers like you are following your own preaching, right? So it's a two-step process, establishing a PBC and getting a B Corp certification. Go to Patagonia website. So as a B Corp certified PBC, Patagonia publishes an annual report, plus also publishes an annual impact report. So in that, they talk about their revenue versus a portion of their revenue they had to use for their sustainable causes, and that is okay with the investors and the government. And again, I'm not a lawyer, not providing legal advice, but getting a PBC and a B Corp certification on top of it is doable, and it's not as difficult.
And if you decide to do so, do so, but calculate the risks and your budgets, because especially scaling to the United States can become very expensive from the legal perspective. Well, same across the globe. in your current currencies, it becomes also quite a expensive journey. But it's needed. Don't forget to hire lawyers, invite your lawyer friends, and really draft all those contracts and get those certifications, because that is a compliant way forward, and we do support that. Okay, one more question. As I can see from our platforms, we are streaming to various platforms from LinkedIn, YouTube, X. So please feel free to write on any platform your comment, your question. We will be able to see it right away and ask the questions and answer them online. Okay, so one more question coming from Anina. Anina, welcome. Hi. Anina from Germany. They are building that is a German word I can't even pronounce. But okay, I'm assuming there is an initiative or a startup or a business that is being designed, developed, and built. And their idea is to make it immersive. So, okay, Web3, great. To make it immersive as a gamified experience for children at schools who may have ADHD, autism, or other kind of mental health, different health profiles. So, yeah, Anina, understood the question. So the question is to us is how to ensure that the process of designing that instructional design and the gamified experiences is inclusive, accessible, and user engagement is at high level, because the company knows who they're designing for, and it includes people by design. Okay, that's a great question, because gamification, and Buva, if you don't mind, I take it from here, but you stay in the video because you have some comments probably to or some inputs to add. Web3 is not a beast. It's a dragon of a different nature, but it is the difference from Web2 worlds. It's very simple. It's not static. It's interactive. It's your online gaming. It's your working together online with the means of maybe headsets or AR, augmented reality functionality, or maybe even via desktop and mobile phones. You can log in into the metaverse space, or participate in somewhat virtually collaborative experience. So once you're building for your group of target audience, your group of people who you are trying to, whose experience you're trying to enrich, you should first understand their profiles. So what is it that makes it hard for them? What is it that makes it easy for them? If they have, let's say, limited abilities in terms of hands, like arthritis, obviously you need to consider keyboard navigation in addition to mouse navigation. But for people with arthritis, using mouse is very painful. They prefer using keyboard. If it's a VR headset, which is Web3 immersive, then it's a voice navigation that you should incorporate. Also, is your voice navigation in different languages, or you're focusing on very specific markets, let's say Germany, then it's in German, and that's enough. Unless you want to include people from other ethnicities, language profiles, and then it needs to be translated in other languages. So that first step of how do I ensure that people enjoy the experiences I'm building starts with planning them on paper, in Figma, in your head, shared with your team, everyone aligned, and then service, feedback loops, interviews to make sure that you understand your group of users with different health profiles. And then you start testing. Always be testing. It's like in sales, always be closing, but here, always be testing and see how they respond. And while doing so, while starting to ideate and create and design, make sure you also look at compliance, because WCAG 2.2 or 2.0, 2.1 describes it all very well. What are the things that you need to focus on? alternative text, alt text, image labeling, navigation, time spent. How some people look at the content longer than shorter, so you cannot have this flipping images at the high kind of speed. It can make them also dizzy. So if you read the compliance, it clearly explains what you need to consider when executing your design, and then combining with the health profiles of users, then it all becomes very clear that this is what is our MVP, minimal viable product, of the first experience we're starting with, and then we see how people interact and how they like it, where they find bottlenecks, what they don't like, and you can change it right away. Um, so I think if you are to consider artificial intelligence, it makes probably faster to suggest you improvements and changes. But that's, I don't know if your business really considers it or initiative. But anyways, Vuva, would you have anything to add to this?
No, totally agreed with everything you mentioned. Just only one point I'd like to emphasize is focus on only one type of user, one type of compliance, one type of MVP in the first 6 months. Don't try to do a lot of user research for a longer time, because that's not going to help you test your product in multiple iterations. And the second thing is, when you are testing, we spoke a lot about testing. Don't test with just the data you have, but go and test it in different communities with diverse profiles, and then collect feedback. So the more data that you are able to put into testing, diverse data, more inclusive data, the better your single MVP will be. So once your single MVP is successful, then keep adding features, but know your first MVP.
Absolutely agree to that. The less is more. That's the principle. Usually do one thing great and then continue scaling into the big wild open. Okay, I see we are about to kind of close the call because the time flies, and I know we can talk about these things long hours. Please do reach out to us with your questions because it's our first webinar, first Ask Me Anything. Now, based off your questions, we can form the next webinar and answer to your questions, invite you maybe even as a speaker. Who knows? The future is wide open. And to close the call, there is a last question that we quickly address. It's a cute one. So Lydia, I don't know the country where Lydia is based, but Lydia is asking if Bova and Eve could change one thing in today's reality, what would it be to improve the future for all? Oh, okay, let me think for a second, because there are many things that actually require change. Well, as simple as it sounds, it's very hard to achieve. And for me, I would say I would like to change people's thinking about their actions. So that means, in my own words, right? That people think twice or thrice before they do things, to make sure they are done with positive impact for every person there. Whether you build technology or talk to someone or build a house, just make sure that physical products as well. Just make sure that you think about your actions, and by changing that behavior to the positive, more sustainable, more accessible, and more inclusive, we can make sure that the world becomes a better place for every person out there. Thank you, Lydia. Buva?
I would say technology is not going to replace humans. Whatever humans are doing cannot be fed into technology, even if it takes, let's say, hundreds of more years. So I would say if you're building something with technology, definitely ensure to keep humans in the loop. Always have a human checkpoint, because you're using technology to build something for a human that will be used by a human, that will give some benefit to the human. So if I can change something, I would come up with a law that says no technology decision can be done without a human in the loop.
Human in the loop. Yay! Always, always. We cannot go without humans. Well, technology can go without humans. But thank you, Lydia. It's a very nice last question that we could answer to today. And it's not the last question that we'll be answering to throughout the year and years to come. So to close this call, this webinar, I would like to say thank you to every one of you watching us and also every one of you who asked a question. And I would like to say, Buva, thank you, not only for this webinar, but thank you for joining us on our mission. Because now our team consisting of 3 female founders, Ramona Parker, our Chief Cybersecurity and Information Assurance Officer, yourself, Fractional Chief Product and Sustainability Officer, and myself. Wow, I call myself Chief Experience Officer, but yes, CEO is the 3 letters. And our amazing team of 15 people who are building every day that technology that we envisioned to make the world more accessible and inclusive, consisting of people of various profiles, ethnicities, backgrounds, age groups, and health profiles as well. That makes me very happy to see that what we set as a mission, with people believing into that, is transforming into action. So thank you to the team, thank you to Buva, and thank you to everyone attending the call. Buva, well, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything you've done for Evenness.
Thanks a lot, Eve. And again, thanks to the team as well. So that's building in the background for us to shine and prosper.
Yeah, I wish everyone would. And I guess we can organize other AMAs where everyone can meet our team. Now, if you would like to meet our team and people from last year speaking at our webinars, we had Circle of Trust events on YouTube. You can find the list of our webinars. We had diversity, equity, inclusion related webinars, advertising also Global Digital Pride events that we organized in partnership with Choice LGBTQIA for Atlanta and Amsterdam. They led the initiative was supported by building metaverse spaces. And also we will be reaching out to all of you who've registered for the call or share the question by giving a freebie, something very useful. It is our white paper that I mentioned before. It will be available on our website from tomorrow, and today you will receive a link via LinkedIn to just download the paper without even registering for it. So enjoy. We hope it's been useful. We addressed different points today, and we can wait to see you soon. Reach out to us if you need help with making your platforms more accessible, sustainable, and inclusive. And otherwise, reach out to us if you need to build inclusive metaverse spaces or digitized experiences for your Web3 audiences. We know that well as well. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.